Hi, welcome to the Getting to Know Linux series. We're going to look at installing Linux from a USB here. The first step is to get the ISO. So we're going to download Linux, we're going to write it to a USB drive, and then we're going to boot our computer from a USB. Now every computer is a little different there, so in your BIOS you'll need to tell the computer to boot from the USB when we get to that point. So first I'm going to type Linux Mint download. I'll say download Linux Mint. I'll go down to Cinnamon. I'm going to choose the 64-bit version of Cinnamon there. So I'm going to do a 64-bit. And then I can choose one of these mirrors, and that's just click the mirror and it'll start downloading. Or you can choose a torrent. You can download the torrent. If you choose the torrent, you may want to verify your ISO there. So you go in and you pick which one you got, and then you're going to go through and you're going to do your checksum and all that. If you choose one of these, you may want to verify your ISO anyway and go through and check your MD5 sum, or if they're using SHA or whatever they're using, whatever the digest is. Over here, pick this, download. Once you have your ISO, then we'll carry on from there. So click this and we'll say download. It's going to take a little time. Right there, save file, and now we're going to save that over to our downloads folder. So that's downloading. So after it's downloaded, let's go ahead and zap forward to the future here where we've got it downloaded. And we're going to pop into our downloads folder, and we're going to look for that Linux Mint. And sure enough, we've got it there. It's 1.9 gig. We downloaded the ISO from the Linux Mint website. Now, of course, we are using Linux Mint. This works with several distributions, not just Linux Mint. So we've got Linux Mint right there. Let's go ahead and write that to a USB drive. Now, there are a couple of ways to look at this. We can do ls blk. We can look at our block devices where SDB is my USB. I've already plugged it into my computer. If you haven't plugged in your USB, this is a sacrificial USB. So this USB, anything that's on it, is going to get wiped out. So when you do this, you will have a portable, bootable Linux distro. You can boot this from anywhere. You can boot this from USB. But this USB is going to get wiped out. So you're going to delete everything on this. So be sure that you get the right disk right here. If you put the wrong drive, you will wipe out your entire computer. And it will not ask you. It's not going to say, oh, are you sure you want to do that? No, it will just delete your entire computer. So now we see that SDB is my 14.3 gig. Then I can type sudo dd, it's just data dump, or it's actually convert and copy, I guess. It's a convert and copy clone, which is data dump. And we'll say input file equals, and we're going to use the Linux Mint ISO right there. I use tab completion, so I type part of it and hit tab, and it finishes it off. Output file equals, and then we're going to say dev SDB. Right there, SDB, the one that's 14.3 gig. Do not overwrite your hard drive or everything will be gone forever. Okay, so we got sudo dd input file, output file, and then if you want to, you can put status equals progress on there. And status equals progress will allow you to see the progress of the data dump while it takes place. And it'll show you how, well, actually, I'll go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and start this up, and we can look at the progress as it's writing, and you can kind of see how much time it's going to take by the transfer rate. So if we look at that 9 megabytes, or maybe it'll stop at 7 megabytes, we can go ahead and open up a calculator, and we can say we've got 1,000, what is it, 1.9? Just do 1.9 gig times 1024. Gives us 1945 megabytes. And we'll divide that by 7, and that gives us 277 seconds, which divided by 60 tells us it's going to take about 4.63 minutes. So we got about 4.63 minutes to wait for that thing to write to the USB. And once that's done, then we'll be ready to go. Okay, let's jump to the future a little bit here. We'll say that we've got it ready to go. So we've plugged it into our computer, and I'm going to use a virtual machine right here, but we have done this already in our compute lab where we do actual computers. So we're going to boot this up in a virtual machine. As this virtual machine starts, we can see that Linux is saying, hey, yeah, you want to boot from that USB? And I'll say, yeah, go for it. And it's going to go ahead and boot up that Linux distro. At least I hope it boots the Linux distro. I haven't actually tested that ISO, so it may fail wonderfully. All right, so it's moving right along. I'll take it off of full screen right here, and that will give us a little bit different view. Okay, well, we'll leave it right there in full screen then. So it's telling me I'm already in software rendering mode. That's fine. So I'm going to choose Install Linux Mint at this point. If you have, if you want to install this alongside another operating system, that's fine. But we're going to teach it in such a way that you're overwriting everything. So we're going to choose Open for install. As we go through the install right here, we're going to choose English as the language, pick your own language. Now, one of the things with Linux is you want to install it and you want to use the options that fit you, the way you want to be. So it's not about compartmentalizing everything, it's about making it the way you like it. So it says, yes, 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 I've only got 10.7 gig and I'll have to quit. Yes, quit. So that was running the default install there on Linux Mint, but now because it's got too little space, I'm going to have to go ahead and close this down. And I'm going to go ahead and leave this in instead of deleting this out, which normally I just delete it off of the video. But I'm going to leave it in there, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing here in the virtual machine. So in the virtual machine, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this disk. You can change the size. So it is possible to change the size. And I'm going to go ahead and choose, I want to create a new disk, VDI, dynamic, and we'll go ahead and make this 20 gig. This is just a demo disk for me, new virtual disk, that's fine. Click, now I've got that, and I'm going to choose OK. I'm going to power that thing back up, and we're going to see if, here we go, go ahead and switch. And now Linux is giving you an option to click Start Linux Mint. If you don't choose anything, it will start it in 10 seconds. We're going to go through the same thing we did before, where the desktop will pop up. Once the desktop comes up, then we will be able to install Linux Mint in its entirety. Now, if you are using a virtual machine, there are a couple of options in virtual machines that I change. I increase the display all the way across, and I make it bidirectional clipboard, and I make a shared machine folder inside the machine so I can get to folders in my host machine. But we'll look at virtualization in a later video. So if this is your PC, you just booted from a USB drive, we're going to go ahead and choose Install Linux Mint. I right-clicked to choose Open on that, just so you can see what I'm doing. And that will actually start the install. On your PCs, you just double-click. So we're going to choose English there, same as before. And this time it won't fail because of disk space, hopefully. And I say hopefully, it won't fail because of the virtual machine's disk space. It may fail because of my host disk space. I might be out of disk space. So this erase disk and install Linux Mint. If you're doing this on your personal computer, your home workstation, then you'll probably want to go ahead and encrypt your entire installation. So this is encrypting everything. If you are just doing this to test it out, then I would not encrypt things. I'd leave it completely unencrypted and then just go ahead and install. But if this is something like me, I've been using Linux as my desktop since about 2000. So that's 19 years exclusively as my desktop. Then I want to encrypt everything in case I lose my laptop. I don't want to have a bunch of problems with data theft. So in this case, we're just going to choose erase disk and move forward. Now again, this is going to wipe out that computer. So whatever computer you plugged it into, it's going to wipe it out. You don't even have to install Linux to use it. We can actually go through and we can use this whole thing right off the USB. So it does not require any installation to be usable. So over here, it's giving me New York. That's close enough. Your name. I'm just going to go ahead and pop in a couple of names here. Computer name. We're going to see if I can get any kind of responsiveness on this system. And you can go workstation, username student, and password is a password. So we got, oops, we have our password defined there. I'm actually going to choose login automatically because this is a demo system. So I'm going to choose continue. And that's it. So now go ahead, sit back, use the Linux distro that's included in the USB. So go through, check it out, change whatever you want to change, connect to wireless, surf the web, or through your wired connection, whatever it might be. And you're good to go. This is going to copy everything. Once it's done copying, it's going to say, do you want to restart? You can either restart right then, or you can keep using the distro that you're running off of the USB. When you restart, you do unplug the USB so that you boot to your new Linux installation on your hard drive. I hope that this has been helpful, and if you have any questions, just pop them in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'll be popping some videos up on here on a regular basis, trying to get everybody up to speed on some of the Linux basics and some things that hopefully will make Linux a lot of fun for you. Have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you later.